All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. We'll go ahead and get started here, diving into your fall professional development roadmap for Power School success. And we're going to be offering a lot of different strategies to take staff effectiveness to that next level this fall. You could even use a lot of these strategies next spring, so on and so forth. But it's really all about best practice when it comes to professional development. Just a few logistical things before we dive in. First of all, we are recording. So if like me as a former educator, someone comes, knocks on your door, needs to talk to you right now, that's fine. Just feel free to step away. We'll be sending this recording out to you in the next day or so. And we also put our on-demand recordings in our monthly newsletter. Um, Want to also highlight there's a great Q&A function within the Zoom. Don't feel like you have to wait till the end. If you've got a question, ask it on the spot. We'll try our very best to answer the questions in the Q&A. We'll have a little bit of time at the end probably for some live questions that we can answer. So go ahead and put them in the question and answer area, because that's where we'll pull the questions that we try to answer live. And if for some reason we don't answer your question, we're not ignoring you. We're going to be following up with everybody, seeing what questions you have. And so we'd love to continue to have a conversation with you and talk about specific needs for your school, your district, your state, et cetera. So first of all, just a huge thank you, to my presenters today. We're going to get to hear from each one of them, as well as an introduction from them when they get to their specific section. So couldn't appreciate you guys more, Tammy, Linda, Jen, and Joe, for jumping in and really sharing your professional development experience with, good golly, well over 100 people that registered today. So I think that shows how important professional development is for schools, for districts, because without that, teachers aren't as supported, staff aren't as supported, and everyone's just a little bit less helpful to students. And so anything we can do at Marcia Brenner Associates to make folks more helpful to students, we certainly want to. And so I really just, if you're brand new to your district maybe and got this forwarded over, just I always like to remind people about who MBA is. So we're not, didn't start yesterday, been around for about 40 years. And one of the things we really try to do is just bring in experts like you'll be hearing from today. Listen, have a relationship first approach. We don't just show up and do things scripted, same way for every single person. We understand the nuance and the unique needs of each individual classroom, grade level, school, district, all the way up to the state. And we're proven. And that's not just with our solutions that you may use within your Power School SIS, but this is also with our approach to supporting you with all your needs, which the topic of today is all about professional development. So I want to really dive in, because the topic really near and dear to my heart, because I mentioned I was an educator. I think a lot of my professional development was that kind of scripted, hey, everybody's getting the same exact PD, no matter whether you're brand new, been here for 40 years, somewhere in between. And so what can we do to be a little bit more focused on the actual needs of those users? And as mentioned, districts really do need a PD plan. There's fragmented knowledge out there. Well, this person knows how to do this one thing, but they're out for 2 weeks. So what do we do? There's waiting until things are reactive and there's a little bit of a fire drill. Thinking about a proactive approach of building skills can really lessen a lot of that stress. Just underutilizing your system capabilities. You might have capabilities of a tool that you don't know about. So that professional development can really help you get more out of the tools you already have that you maybe just don't know how to get the most out of. And building this culture, building this cohesive strategy, this structured professional development really gives you just more consistency. You learn from it, so you make less errors moving ahead. And at the end of the day, it's good for your entire staff, because they're really going to continue to see like, oh, well, we have a plan. We have a vision, and this is how we're going to get to it. And PD is a huge component of that. So and you'll hear this from each one of our specialists here, but we really have an approach that's proven. We have live instructor-led sessions available that allow you to go in and get learners engaged, not just watch recordings. Recordings can be great, but having that live instructor-led session also gives people the idea to ask questions, get that feedback. We provide hands-on training environments. So these simulated environments gives you a nice little playground area where you can go in and practice skills without touching your actual SIS. You don't want to accidentally stumble upon read-write access to the back end of your SIS. We make sure you don't. Small class sizes makes sense. And, as a former educator, I had classes of 35, 36 and classes of like 10 or 12. And you certainly make a lot more connections in those small class sizes. And at the end of the day, it gives you that practical application focus. How are you actually going to use this in your actual job to continue to help you get those outcomes, those results that you're looking for? And so that's what we're going to dive into today, kind of giving you a comprehensive training overview. We're doing a month-by-month breakdown that I'll show you in just a second, but this could really be tied to just about any month. Only one of them is really tied to November, and that's when we have our live conference, which we'll talk about. Think about people's roles. You're an admin, you're a counselor, you're really focused on scheduler, you're a registrar, making sure that what you get ED-wise is relevant to you, and that it's not like, oh, well, 90% of this doesn't really pertain to me. Because if that's the case, then you're probably not going to be listening during that 10% that was focused on you. Meeting people where they are, all levels. You're brand new, you've been doing this for 40 years. What's going to be right for you? And then really learning how to just identify, okay, what are those areas that you want to continue to improve on? Because I won't say we've seen it all, but we've seen a lot. And one of the things that we really can do is kind of help you figure out what that next step for better is. And as mentioned, we're taking this on kind of a little bit of an approach for a month-by-month overview. But as mentioned, this could be used for November, December, January, February. Really, we want to align with your schedule. So while we're focusing on like your fall roadmap, feel free to mix and match based on what you actually need. So we'll jump in looking at September, then October. So for the setup for the admin, then for the counselors. For November, we'll talk a little bit about our live conference that happens in Madison, Wisconsin. And then in December, looking at scheduling, especially if you're on an A-B schedule or a semester by semester schedule, could be really good for getting ready to finalize all those schedules for once students come back for a semester two. So let's go ahead and dive in. I've talked enough. I'm going to drink a little bit of water here, but I want to start with our role-based learning opportunities. Linda, I'm going to bring you in to introduce yourself a little bit and then talk to us about PowerSchool admin foundations and how some of those PD opportunities work for the schools and districts that we serve.
Sure. Thanks, Sam. I'm Linda Brock. I've been with MBA for a few years now after a fairly lengthy history of being a PowerSchool and SIS administrator more broadly and filling consulting roles for school districts in a couple of different states as well. And this is an area that's really near and dear to my heart. Starting in the fall, as we gear up for back to school, we put together a whole sequence of very targeted topics that hit the high points of the processes that need to happen during this back to school timeframe. But what we really take pride in and emphasize starting with back to school is this comprehensive class that we call Power Admin or Power Administrator Master Class, which is designed as a sequence of instruction, minimum of 36 class sessions distributed throughout the fall that we use to build skills for the core PowerSchool administrative team in a district. Could be one person, could be multiple people, but the goal is to provide those folks who you rely on for your core support and your implementation processes and your day-to-day back-end operations with the deep understanding of the system that they need to meet your needs, meet them timely, and get those answers to the people who need them within the district administrative staff, as well as the teachers and the support staff. So this is a great class sequence for districts who maybe have turnover. That's always a really tough point with districts. If you've been relying on one person, sometimes for decades, and they retire or leave, maybe short notice even, and you've got to replace that deep knowledge that they have built over time. This is perfect for addressing that need. Many districts choose to use it to build more depth in their team so that they're not just relying on that one critical linchpin person, and they've got other people to fall back on who have comparable knowledge and awareness of the various functions in PowerSchool and how to set those up and manage them for success within your own district environment. This is a class that I teach and love to engage with. We see learners from a whole variety of backgrounds. Sometimes it is that new incoming PowerSchool administrator who's going to be replacing that key person who's been there forever. And sometimes it's someone in a specific school, but important supporting role, like a counselor or an elementary secretary, who needs to have a really broad understanding of the functions in Power School. So that's who this is aimed at. It can fit a variety of roles, but somebody who you really want to be sure has a solid grounding in how the SIS works and how to carry out those key central processes that really support the whole ecosystem of your student data and your student learning process.
Perfect. No, and I know exactly what you're talking about. My district, I think, good golly, we had about 4,000 students, and so one high school, one middle, and two elementary. And I think
Yep.
everything went through that one guru. And I left before while she was still there, but I don't know what they would have done without her. So that kind of gets me my first question for you, Linda. A lot of people do have that one guru, those two gurus that kind of have all that historical knowledge. You kind of touched on it, but just hit us over the head with really the risk of putting all your eggs in that one basket can create, and how this might help you take that step to just having more of a sustainable support structure.
Sure.
A year from now, let's say.
Yeah, this was a really common scenario for me to get pulled into as a consultant. Was when that person either did leave the job or had some kind of an unexpected emergency and was out of circulation. Um, and there are various people throughout your district who know little bits and pieces, but pulling that together, especially at those critical points, you've got state reporting coming up, and that has to rely on having accurate enrollment data and attendance data. You've got the end of a term coming up, and you've got to get those grading processes finalized. So having more than one person who's got that knowledge, and not just the specifics of how your district works for that particular isolated part of Power School, but preferably the knowledge of how it fits into the long-term progression of the processes throughout the school year and how those pieces interact, because there's a lot of interaction in different areas of Power School. Having more than one person who's got that grounding and can step in an emergency or, again, replace that central staff person is so critical. And one of the other things I've seen is that having multiple staff with that background really helps the district in getting good solutions in place specific to the district. Because we all know that when you have a team working on a problem, people come up with different approaches to it, they come up with different answers. And so having multiple people with the substrate understanding of how Power School works who can weigh in on that and think of, hey, maybe we should try this approach. We know it can do this. What if we looked at it this way? That can also give you stronger solutions, as well as having the depth of staffing for coverage in the general sense.
No, that is such a great point. I mean, I go to lots of user groups and see our users get together, and they always share that information. But there's no reason that can't also be the scenario within your own district where you have multiple people. Maybe this person's really good at thinking about customization. This person's really good at the state compliance side. Like having those different perspectives really make you stronger than the sum of your parts, so to
Yeah,
speak.
yeah, exactly.
Well, perfect. I think you nailed it, Linda. I'm going to ask you to stick around for us because there could be some questions and answers and things like that coming in. But no, I really appreciate your time this morning and sharing a little bit about how our admin foundations can really, remove some of that risk that districts might have putting all their eggs in that one guru's basket. So thanks so much. Appreciate you.
Sure.
And I'm going to jump now into an October scenario. And Jen, I'll have you come in and talk a little bit to us about counselor workflows and what that professional development might look like. Of course, after you give us an intro on Jen Schumann.
Hi there. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah, loud and
Great.
clear.
Thanks so much, Sam. Hi, my name is Jennifer Schumann. I've worked in K-12 education for nearly 20 years. I've been in every role from classroom teacher, school leader, operations leader, and almost everything in between. And I really, really love Power School because it makes working life easier for those people who are in our schools and makes it easier to access information. And so I have the joy of leading Counselor Masterclass. Our goal is to give counselors a really comprehensive look at everything they need to do how to use Power School as a really helpful tool, but the ultimate goal being that they are spending less time worrying about Power School, using it as efficiently as possible, and then have more time to focus on their real priority, which are kids, families, and supporting the school community. And so in the Counselor Masterclass is a 10-session course. We're going to go very deep into every area that counselors are going to use, give everyone real world example, hands-on experience, make sure everyone's completely comfortable with just the things they do day to day, finding student data, running reports, finding logs, incidents, reviewing grades, kind of putting together the full look at how students are performing, what supports they may need, and kind of putting all the pieces of the puzzle together. We'll also have time to work through specific challenges that are unique to your school or your district. I need to find X faster. I'm always asked for this or that, and I don't know how to answer. And so I hope that you will send your counselors in training, your new counselors, your seasoned counselors to join us and learn with us on this fabulous counselor masterclass journey.
Yeah, no, and counselors do so much. They were, I was a coach, a teacher, so you're tapping into them for like eligibility stuff. The student's having a specific problem. The student's maybe going to be homebound. How are we going to keep them from falling behind? They balance just a tremendous number of responsibilities. So when you are working with counselors today, because I'm basing a lot of this on 10, 15 years ago, what are some of the big challenges that counselors come in facing today? And I'd love to maybe hear an example of how the counselor masterclass can kind of help them address those challenges.
Certainly. So a lot of the problems I'm hearing about are things that touch multiple areas of a student experience. The student's having a problem maybe at home, or there's a custody situation, a foster care situation. And so how do I document that? How do I update contacts? How do I let the teachers know in a sensitive way that protects the student's privacy? How is that being accounted for if there's a disciplinary issue or a health issue? How do I make sure everyone has the information they need at the right time? And so we're going to look at each of those areas kind of individually to help the counselor kind of put together, just build the technical knowledge they need. And then we'll be talking through those real world scenarios, running them in a test environment so they can kind of practice without disturbing actual student data, and just make sure they feel kind of fully confident to hit the ground running when they get back to their desk.
No, and I love that approach of like showing how it all connects, because we talk a lot like, oh,
Yeah.
data's disconnected. How do we get the data together? You know what the data's not connected or disconnected for? It's that kid. Like that's their life. Like all those pieces of data are like what they experience every day. So giving someone else who sees the whole picture really kind of opens the doorway for counselors. And you mentioned, kind of seeing all that student data, scheduling, GPA, attendance. Any skills that really help counselors when they like come back to school and they have like a whole new batch of incoming ninth graders or kindergartners? Any kind of areas that you see folks really focusing on to get those immediate impact and results as students come back to school?
I think there are a few different skills that can be really helpful. I think there are search skills that we're going to look into in quite a lot of depth, for developing custom lists. So you have that list of kids at the ready. If you need that list of students with IEPs, or that student list of ninth graders, the list of kids who are under evaluation or receiving speech services, whatever it is. There are a lot of tools that counselors and other professionals have at their disposal, and we want to make sure that they're able to take full advantage of all of them.
Yep. Absolutely. No, and counselors make it all work. I mean, that's the kind of, if you're teaching physics, well, then you're dealing with these pieces. You need someone who doesn't know physics, but who knows people to come in and support. So, no, I love the work that the counselor workflows have and what we offer. So same with you. Please stick around. Let's see if there's any questions. And as folks are on, please feel free to put your questions in the Q&A as well. Think I saw a couple come in already, but we'll certainly strive to answer just as many of those as possible.
Thank you.
So Tammy, I'm going to switch over to you now. I'm really excited. I get to go this November, but would love to, Dr. Tammy Todd to come on, do a quick introduction and talk to us a little bit about the MBA Academy Power School Conference, which is actually, this is the one I mentioned, can't move from November because it actually happens this November.
It does happen in November, Sam. Thanks. Yeah, I'm Tammy Todd. I get to be the Vice President of Professional Development here at MBA. I have been with Marcia Brenner for a little over 5 years. Prior to that, just like my colleagues, I came from districts. I came from different schools. And I love that having that experience behind us, because like the schools I worked with had different educational philosophies, different processes, and I was able to bring that background in here. I've been using PowerSchool for about 18 years, so we've had lots of different ways to make things happen, right? But as we look at the conference, it is November. We are hosting, MBA is actually hosting this conference. It's in person, it's in Madison, Wisconsin, and it begins November 9th. It's potentially a 4-day conference, but our 4th day is completely sold out already. So we have the 2 and 3-day conference available now. The seal you see here on the slide, confidential. This is the logo for this year's conference. Our theme this year is Operation Lock and Learn, Agents of Data Integrity. And we really want learners to consider the importance that they individually play in accurate data, and also the importance of securing student data and what they can do as an individual. And then along with that, we like to have a lot of fun around our theme. So we're spending some serious time trying to figure out how to make the conference fun with our security theme. Each year, we review our course offerings to add new content that's applicable to our learners, making sure that we share information that's fresh and accurate. Our courses cover all roles at a district and all levels of PowerSchool users, from those brand new users to those advanced seasoned admins. And the trainers at the Wisconsin conference are all MBA staff with a few PowerSchool staff thrown in as well. Our conference, like our trainings, incorporate lots of hands-on learning. We try to be the stewards of hands-on learning. And we incorporate some unique opportunities for connecting learners together, where learners grow exponentially when they start sharing their knowledge and their experiences. I think that's where some of that impact is really seen, Sam.
No, that is perfect. And I love how we're kind of covering a lot of the different options today, because as we talked about, we do role specific training, really throughout the year. So I'd love to, you've been to these conferences. This will be my first one. I'd love to hear from you, like, about the MBA Academy PowerSchool Conference. What really makes it that unique professional development opportunity that you might want to, because it's not easy to leave your school or district. So what makes it unique, and why you really ought to go and be stronger coming out of it?
The MBA Academy PowerSchool Conference brings the school and district teams together across roles so that they can come back into their districts with individual day-to-day tasks, looking at the broader shared system that supports the whole organization. And they can do that with MBA staff there to support them as well. Like, we are informally, we are connecting, available, we are training, we're at the networking opportunities. So we're there informally having those conversations at the conference, as well as our attendees are comparing challenges with peers, and they're strengthening their workflows, and then they're planning that return to their desk with the shared ideas that they've come up with. And the conference is really designed for PowerSchool users, and is focused, again, with hands-on real-world solutions that attendees can take back and apply immediately. I think that is huge for us.
Oh, I love that. You kind of answered my second question of, what are some of those conversations you see? But yeah, people connecting, but investing 2, maybe 3 days with the idea that I'm going to come back to my organization, my school, my district with these strategies that are gonna have an impact. And so yeah, it's like going to the gym. You get those, you go there, you make that sacrifice, and then you see the results as you're kind of going on to the next adventure. So that is perfect. I couldn't be more excited to go, and hopefully it's not completely full. Hopefully there's still room for me on those 2 and 3 days there. But it's great that we've already sold out on the 4th day.
Yeah, we're very excited about that. And right, I mean, just what you said, Sam, like, this is we're not doing theory, we're not talking product demonstrations. This is really hands-on, with our learners often leaving with new approaches to reduce manual work, improving reporting and data access, enhancing security practices, and just better workflows. And we do still have room in the 2 and 3 days. So Sam,
Yep.
We'll get you registered.
Hold my spot for me, Tammy.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate that. No, and then I think we'll go into one more today. We want to look at, kind of talking about how we approach scheduling mastery. And with that, I'm excited to have Joe introduce himself and talk a little bit about the scheduling master courses that we have.
Thanks, Sam. Hi, I'm glad to be here. My name is Dr. Joe Brown, and I've been an employee of MBA for a little over a year now. And I'm very privileged to be here to talk to you about scheduling. Um, December, about the right time, if not even earlier, to start to do scheduling. With scheduling is the blueprint for schools. I mean, it's if and it really a schedule really sets a tone for a school year. If you've got a good schedule with balanced class sizes and your teachers don't have a lot of overload of the preps and your students are moving around all the time, it really sets the tone for a great school year. Conversely, if you've got a bad schedule with overcrowded classes, so many rotations, teachers that are have 4, 5, 6 different preps all the time, you got cranky teachers, you got discipline problems, and it really ends up being a rough school year. So taking the time to do the schedule and getting a good schedule is important to set the tone for that school year, and that's what we try to do with our trainings here. With the scheduling masterclass, we do a full comprehensive scheduling training. We go through the scheduling as a journey. We go from the planning aspect, which is November, December, all the way through your commit process. So and getting that done, whether you're doing a build and load, or whether you're doing load only, or even if you're doing live side scheduling, we'll go through those processes with you. We'll show you the most efficient ways of doing things, show you those best practices, showing you how to configure everything. We've got checklists, we've got all the various methods we do to show you how to do scheduling. But that being said, scheduling is not a cookie cutter approach. Every schedule is different. Okay, every school is different. Every schedule is different. I mean, I've worked in power school for over 25 years. I've worked with hundreds of schools, and I've seen hundreds of different schedules, from small schools of 100 students to 10,000 students, and every approach is different. So, in our scheduling approach for training, we talk with you. We talk to find out what your needs are and what you're trying to accomplish. And we show you how to, not only the how but the why. If you do this, why should you do this? Why should you go with block scheduling versus traditional scheduling? Why should you have students do course requests versus counselors putting them in? All those things we'll talk about. We'll talk about how to work smarter, how to be strategic in your approach to scheduling and doing so. With scheduling, maybe you've inherited a schedule that's been used over and over and over again. Maybe you've been scheduling on inertia, and maybe you've done 7 years of load onlys, but school changes in 7 years. And over the course of time, teachers change, variables. All these students change. Teachers might get tired of teaching the same first period class for 7 years. Maybe it's time to change and do a build. So I'll encourage you, to maybe go out of your comfort zone a little bit, get out of that inertia mode, and show you the benefits of maybe doing a build every now and then, and how that's done. And we'll really focus on looking at your school, your loads, your builds, and looking at those results and getting the best result that you can. Not just, we don't do one build and done. We don't do one load and done. We show you the opportunities and the advantages of doing multiple builds, multiple loads to get that best result you can before you do the commit. And with that, and that takes time and takes practice. And so in our trainings, we provide a safe space. You'll get your own scheduling school. You'll be able to use the school the way you want it. I've always wanted to try this, but I'm not messing around with my live data. Oh no, we can do it. You can have at it. It's your school. You've got 11 sessions here in the master class. Have at it. Build your dream schedule. Is this going to work? And if it does, then you can take that and transfer and generalize that information into your actual live schedule. I've had schools who have done it on the training server, and at the same time, once they see it's working, translating those results onto their lives, scheduling and doing it along. And we'll help you throughout that entire approach. We provide individual support, practice. We do the office hours where it's just not me talking or trainers talking. We're going ahead and talking with you, and you're coming in, and it's like, okay, I've got questions. I like to try this. Okay, let's take a look. So you have a safe space where you can work and and we can look at your schedules, and we can make sure that you get what you want and get your questions answered. And again, the idea behind it is to get your schedule the best that you possibly can. We not only with the master class, we do have an essentials class as well, which we cover the basics. If you just need a refresher, And we also do milestone classes. Maybe you're a little fuzzy on course request management, or maybe a little fuzzy on how to use teams versus section types. We have those milestone classes. We also do individualized district training as well. So you can kind of with that. So we try to cover it all and try to help. Our goal is to help you get the best guidance you can with what you need.
No, Joe, I wish I could send you back in time, sir, because I'll tell you, my first year teaching, well, they were like, oh, first period, planning period. I was like, great. And then they were like, but also you have a teacher duty, go out and walk the parking lot, make sure no one, is still sitting in the car. And then second year, same thing. Third year, I was like, guys, you got to give me something different.
Right.
It's getting cold down here in Pulaski County, Virginia, walking around in December and January when it's 18 degrees, making sure no one's sitting in their cars. So no, I think you made a lot of great points in terms of what we can bring in. Let's just hit one more exclamation point on it. What are some of the, like, I don't want to say things people are doing wrong, but maybe some of the challenges that they're experiencing in Power Scheduler, and then kind of how they leave a scheduling mastery class, being more able to avoid a challenge?
Sure. Well, I think the most common thing is starting too late. You're starting too late. It's April. We should start thinking about scheduling. Or hey, we got a commit coming up. Schedule. I mean, you nailed it. December, November, even November. You got to start thinking about it now, at that point in time. Okay, and then you take the time to do that. You need to. The biggest mistake is not leaving enough time to do it and not putting in the dedicated time. Scheduling takes dedicated time. And so putting that time in, and again, and having those questions answered is what we can do for you. So when you train with us and we can work with you, you can have those questions. I'll even after our training's over, I often get questions from our users about quick question here, a quick question there about something. We support you. We're going to support you through your scheduling process and provide you, and they walk out with those skills. Just to give you one success story, we had a middle school, starting a entirely new middle school. They had nothing in their system whatsoever, with a new principal who didn't know anything about scheduling, and two counselors who knew how to change the schedule. And over the course of the training, they walked out of the training with a 99% scheduling of the new school from starting nothing, and they were ready to start the year and do so. So the training can give you those toolbox skills and to really equip you to create your schedule to get what you want.
No, and just as a current parent, I'll also say, like, starting earlier and doing it in a better process makes you look smart. And, like, from a parent perspective, if I personally, not to call out my daughter's home district, we got lots of different schedule changes in the middle of the summer. Oh, this class isn't going to have enough students. Oh, we need to change this. This happened. And now their ad drop date was supposed to be last Friday. They pushed it. And it's just like, that's a lot of emails about things shifting. If you can get ahead of that, I think it really is just huge for building community trust, community engagement, and
absolutely,
and less confusion.
Absolutely. And then that does allow the time for schools, and we get that done. It allows the time for schools to concentrate on other initiatives, the things that they want to do and provide, rather than doing the last minute panic stuff.
Wait, you mean it's not all done just once you get the schedules created?
Yeah, no, unfortunately not. No easy button.
Yep. No, exactly. No, I appreciate that, Joe. And yeah, that's a really great way to start the school or the semester off in the way you want to, so that all the bones are there, and then you can worry about building on and kind of hitting your goals when it comes to the actual parts of school, which is the learning happening in those courses, in those sections, et cetera. So, well, I really appreciate everyone. I think we've given you a little bit of an overview of each kind of component, each kind of area. We're going to send these out to you. We'll send you the recording as mentioned, but talked a little bit about with the team just on, like, hey, how can you get started on next steps? And I think the first one is, you're probably doing it already, but just in case you aren't, sit down with your team, kind of get those different perspectives. Think about, like, okay, what are our moments in time for professional development this year? Are we just doing, like, hey, everybody's getting the same training, whether they need 90% of it or not? And really kind of take that look in the mirror and see, okay, where are there areas for improvement that we could use to better serve our staff and support our outcomes? If you go to the MBA-link.com site, we have a trainings tab. And so that's a lot of areas where you can sign up for upcoming trainings and have access to those. And they do have individuals for multi-districts. So sometimes you might be in one and really learn something from someone from another organization. If you're looking for something specific to just your district, hey, we just want this for our district because we do A-B schedule where today's first period is tomorrow's eighth period and everywhere in between, let us know. And there's a great way to contact us at info@mba-link.com, just to have a conversation, just to say, this is what we're trying to do. Could you all help? As mentioned, November, it's filling up in Madison, Wisconsin. So if you do, want to come and join us in there and think that could be swung through your time for PD, take a look at mba-link.com/conferences, which takes you to the full site that Tammy really went over. And I'm also just a big believer in the PSUGs. A lot of times we work with the different Power School user groups, go and do trainings there. We were just at National PSUG not too long ago. So that's also a great way to kind of come together, learn from others within the sessions, but also get some professional development for yourself so that you can continue supporting all the different outcomes that we've talked about today. So there were a couple of questions I wanted to go over. Tammy, I'm going to start with you, but anybody here, Linda, Joe, Jen, that wants to kind of share their experiences as well. We're not the only people that provide Power School professional development. So Tammy, based on your experience, what kind of makes us different? Like, what are, based on the other different options that are out there, why do people say, we go with MBA because
we're learner-centered. That's our number one. We are often chosen because we're learner-centered. Our trainings are not scripted. They're very interactive, right? You've heard all of the trainers today say the same thing. Because we're not scripted, we are interactive. Our trainers are very knowledgeable. We have decades of experience, and we work with learners to answer their questions. If we want our learners to be successful, we want them to be able to implement things directly back in their districts, and move forward. We focus on the why, not just the how, and that seems to be huge for our learners to understand why they're doing and making the choices there, why you check that box or don't check that box, what that implication is, right? And we've been in your seats. We've sat in the seats in the district, and that's again what makes us stand out a little bit, is that we understand your needs and the processes and what it's like to work in a district and what it's like when you're trying to get your job done and you don't have the answers and the phone's ringing and the bells ringing and the students are coming in and the parents are coming in, and we've lived that with you. So it helps us be I think better at helping train people.
And Sam, I'd like to jump in if I may. That emphasis on the why is so critical to us. We're trying, as in this Power Admin class, for example, to make sure people in the districts are exposed to the breadth of what Power School can do. But even more crucially, we're making sure that they have the deep understanding of not just how each area works, which you can get a lot of that from just reading documentation. What do I click? How do I do the basic setup? You can read documentation to find that out. But understanding what decision process to go through to make the choices that will make the system work for your district and your situation, and how that piece is going to have knock-on effects and interact with the other areas of Power School is the part that we feel is so important, and building that ability to not just carry out the steps with our users, but to look at the situation and be informed partners in working with the district administration and the curriculum staff and the teachers to solve the problems, and have that background knowledge to say, oh, I'm hearing you want to accomplish this. Here's some information you should know about how our system can and can't support that. And let's make sure we come up with an answer that really will do the best we can to bring that result about. So, not necessarily knowing every single piece, every single answer, every single box and page in the system, but recognizing when there's going to be an impact, when there's going to be an issue, and knowing where to look and how to think about it and what questions to ask to get there, we feel is really important to the learning process and what we want our learners to take away from our training.
Oh, and that's really through all walks of life, and helping people understand the why of this immediately gets more buy-in, more value from it. I remember not a power school training, but I was sitting in a training as a teacher for assessments, assessment building, things like that. And the thing that got us was, this isn't so that you can give more tests or have more grades. This is going to show you the gaps in learning, the gaps in knowledge that you need to address to be a better teacher. Like, don't even put them in the grade book. This is going to help you help kids. Starting with that, everyone's set up straight, locked in, because that all of a sudden kind of gave us that like aha moment for why we're here. Tammy, I'll end with you as well. I think there was one other question we wanted to address. Let's say you do a virtual training with us and someone's not there. Do you get a recording? How long do you get it for? Like, how does that work if you do the live training but want to maintain that file?
Yeah, our virtual instructor-led trainings are all recorded, and recordings are available for 90 days from the date of the recording. Because we want to make sure our content is fresh and accurate. That's why we limit it to 90 days. But within a day or two of the training, we send out the documentation along with the link to the recording.
Perfect.
And again, that comes from your trainer. So if you do have follow-up questions, just like Joe was talking about, they're able to interact and help you with those things.
Perfect. Yeah, and I love the call out, because there's always a new release. Oh, well, 26.10 is about to come out. So yeah, anything that we have that is based on that older version, we wouldn't want to create confusion. So I think that's a great call out. But yeah, no, speaking of recordings, we will be sending the recording to today's kind of PD deep dive of all the options to folks in the next day or so. It'll come from the Zoom registration area that you signed in. But of course, it'll also go into our monthly newsletter, which we're seeing more and more folks take advantage of. Linda, Tammy, Joe, Jen, thank you guys so much for joining us. Even more importantly, for those who took time away from their busy back to school to join us, we really appreciate you all as well. And look forward to continuing the conversation as we follow up and seeing how we can help professional development be a core component of your school or district or organization's overall plan for future success. And with that, I'll let everyone go for the day. Really appreciate y'all's time, and we'll chat soon. Thanks so much and have a great day.